TAB up for sale again.
That's the rumour. Only a rumour at this stage. This is like a never-ending bad Gumtree experience. Buyers promising to show up, never arriving, saying they don't have the right change when they do.
I'll be there, okay? I'll be there.
We first looked at flogging WA's racing business when this guy was running the place.
Destroy.
The other one. We're not having some BCF and fun on the side. Colin Barnett spent 2014 preparing the TAB for sale. Long drawn out affair, looked all but certain when in the 2017 state election campaign, the Libs, the Nats and Labor all pledged to flog the TAB if they got into power. Then, depending on your view of history, someone either ate a bat or dropped a petri dish full of bioweapons and we all fell ill for 2 years.
Either way, it's bad.
Then we got better, and by August 2021, having spent all our money on toilet paper, the sales process was back on in earnest. Tabcorp was the likely new owner at that stage, but in May 2022, a dark horse had emerged. Rupert Murdoch-backed Better secured preferred bidder status. But, like Rupert's love life, the deal collapsed at the 11th hour, left Mark McGowan standing alone with nobody walking down the aisle.
I can't do this.
A gun-shy premier said it was unlikely that it would be put up for sale again.
I am humiliated!
I'm sorry.
But he's yesterday's news, and with a fresh leader comes fresh eyes.
Why the change of heart?
Hopefully because Roger Cook walked into a suburban TAB and realised this isn't a business that a government of His Majesty the King should be in. It's pretty grim in there.
Sorry, mate. It's been declined.
Barrenjoey is a company operating in the only economic sector that's seedier than bookmaking, corporate advisory services. We don't know where the government stands on this at the moment. They're playing coy, but Barrenjoey is said to be punting on a new sales pitch. Rather than privatising the TAB outright, they're promoting a New Zealand pioneered model in which the government retains ownership, but a private company operates it under a 25 or 30-year lease. Private sector gets security of a government-backed long-term contract and the government gets wads of cash.
How much are we talking?
Well, when we were talking about an outright sale, it was $1 billion. Probably less under a lease arrangement, but still enough to buy a lot of electoral pork barrelling, which the Cook government needs right now, courtesy of the parliamentary clusterfuck that was the Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act.
Might take more than $1 billion.
You know you're in a world of pain when John Quigley's the steady voice of reason.
My comment at the time was that I considered Mr Quigley's evidence was not dishonest, but was all over the shop.
The state's ever-entertaining First Law Officer was brought in to fix a mess created by our last 3 Aboriginal Affairs ministers, each of whom appears to have had the political goal of things up more than his predecessor. Rather than being confused and confusing, John's advice was very clear. The Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act was a shit sandwich and no amount of seasoning was going to mask the taste.
It's a bit nutty.
That triggered the extremely rare decision to repeal an entire act barely a month after it became operational. We're now going to tinker with laws passed in 1972, which we have ignored since 1972.
Cook can't please anyone at the moment.
Roger could fall out of a boat and not hit water. For every Aboriginal group that's happy the act's been scrapped, there's another one that's pissed off. I really don't understand how we're going to get a cohesive voice even if we all do vote yes. We can't seem to get a consensus on even relatively straightforward thing.
Might not be a voice at all if the polls are right.
The mismanaged Aboriginal Cultural Heritage Act is being blamed for the record low number of West Australians who intend to vote no. Latest news poll says the yes vote is now below 50% in every state. 3 months ago, that was only the case in Queensland, which you'd expect from a state of slack-jawed yokel rednecks.
Yeah, I mean...
But now even the nation's capital for woke virtue signalling wankery is erring on the negative.
Melbourne, a city where a haircut can make up over 80% of someone's personality.
Anthony Albanese is desperate for a circuit breaker, but he can't find one.
Sorry.
Every time he opens his mouth, he says something that gives Australians a new reason to worry about what happens if they tick the yes box. At the moment, it's whether yes to a voice also means yes to a treaty. That's something we basically did in WA a few years ago when Barnett signed off on the Southwest Native Title claim. The world's not ending west of the Nullarbor at the moment, but we seem very worried about what a federal treaty might look like.
I'm not sure what it is.
As long as those fears remain unallayed, the betting money's on the referendum failing to make it across the line.
I lost everything.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.